In a peaceful town settled somewhere down in the Himalayan mountains, they're carried on with a young fellow named Tenzin. Known for his fast attitude and harsh tone, Tenzin accepted that words held the ability to take care of each and every issue. At the point when conflicts emerged, he would contend boisterously, persuaded that his perspectives would win through sheer power of discourse. At some point, a question broke out in the town. Two ranchers squabbled about the limits of their territory. Tenzin, anxious to demonstrate his insight, hopped into the contention, talking noisily and offering arrangements. The more he talked, the more tumultuous the circumstance became. Disappointed, the ranchers betrayed him, and the squabble raised. Unsettled, Tenzin went to the town sage, Lama Dorje, a savvy old priest who lived in an isolated religious community. Lama Dorje was known for his peaceful presence and his capacity to determine clashes without expressing in excess of a couple of words. As Tenzin entered the religious community, he proclaimed his dissatisfactions. Lama Dorje, I attempted to help, yet entirely nobody tuned in. For what reason can't individuals see that I'm correct? The priest grinned delicately and motioned for Tenzin to follow him to a little garden. In the focal point of the nursery was a still lake, its surface so smooth it reflected the sky above. Lama Dorje got a little stone and thrown it into the water. Swells spread across the surface, mutilating the reflection. Watch the water, Lama Dorje said delicately. Tenzin looked as the waves bit by bit died down, and the lake got back to its peaceful state. The priest then highlighted Tenzin's appearance. At the point when you talk out of frustration or flurry, you resemble this stone. Your words upset the harmony, making swells that befuddle and mutilate. Just peacefully could the water at any point return to lucidity. Tenzin scowled. Be that as it may, Lama Dorje, on the off chance that I don't talk, how might I tackle issues? Quiet wants to sit idle. The priest laughed and signaled to a close-by tree. Its branches influenced delicately in the breeze, yet its foundations were profound and unmoving. Quiet isn't nothingness. It is the base of shrewdness. At the point when you are quiet, you tune in. To other people, to yourself, and to the world. In that tuning in, lucidity and understanding emerge. The following day, the rancher's contention proceeded. This time, Tenzin drew nearer discreetly and stood close by without saying a word. He tuned in as every rancher voiced their complaints, their outrage in the long run relaxing as they felt appreciated. Inevitably, Tenzin highlighted the still lake close to their fields. Take a gander at the water, he said serenely. At the point when it is upset, neither of you can see the reflection plainly. However, when it is still, reality shows up. The ranchers stopped, looking at the lake, and afterward at one another. Gradually, they started to talk with less indignation, cooperating to track down an answer. Before the day's over, the limit question was settled, and harmony got back to the town. From that second on, Tenzin became known as a man of quiet insight. He as of now not contended unnecessarily or raced to talk. All things considered, he rehearsed the force of quiet, realizing that genuine seeing frequently emerges not from talking, but rather from tuning in and noticing. Years after the fact, when Tenzin himself turned into a senior, he would frequently direct others to a similar still lake, sharing the illustration he had learned. Quietness isn't the shortfall of words, however the presence of lucidity. In Tibetan way of thinking, the idea of susaraq, a quiet condition of assurance, is profoundly lined up with the standards of inward dominance and widespread concordance. This way of thinking underlines that accomplishing one's objectives doesn't come from power or hostility, however, through a fair and careful way to deal with life. This is the way Tibetan lessons associate susaraq to progress. Tibetan bosses frequently say, the most intense strength is quiet. In a world loaded up with commotion, interruption, and confusion, susaraq addresses the state where one adjusts their internal identity to the regular musicality of life. By developing internal quietness through contemplation and care, people can go with smarter choices and channel their energy towards significant objectives. In Tibetan lessons, the universe is viewed as an interconnected progression of energy. At the point when an individual works from a quiet and decided condition of susaraq, they adjust their goals to this general energy. This arrangement improves their capacity to show their cravings since they are done battling against the progression of life. yet moving amicably inside it. Through susaraq, one creates tolerance, a fundamental quality in Tibetan way of thinking. Accomplishing huge objectives takes time, and the quiet assurance encapsulated in susaraq assists an individual with remaining tough, notwithstanding challenges. Tibetan sayings frequently advise us that a consistent drop of water will erode the hardest stone. Tibetan sages accept that achievement isn't just about private addition, yet additionally about how your activities benefit others. In the condition of susaraq, you develop sympathy and liberality, which normally draw in overflow. Helping other people with an open heart makes positive karmic energy, which thus brings satisfaction and thriving. Day-to-day contemplation. Begin with 10 to 15 minutes of quiet reflection to clear your brain and associate with your internal identity. Careful relaxing. Practice profound, cognizant breathing to quiet your considerations and keep up with center. Set expectations. Record clear and deliberate objectives, zeroing in on arrangement as opposed to desire. Act with mindfulness. Each activity, regardless of how little, ought to be performed with care and devotion. In Tibetan way of thinking, accomplishing everything doesn't mean overcoming the world, however dominating yourself. At the point when you embrace susaraq, the quiet strength inside, you open the possibility to achieve your fantasies and carry on with an existence of genuine overflow and harmony. In Tibetan way of thinking, one of the greatest deterrents to accomplishing your objectives is connection. At the point when you're excessively focused on results, you make pressure and obstruction, which can hinder your advancement. Susaraq shows the specialty of giving up, believing that your endeavors will prove to be fruitful time permitting. This doesn't mean leaving your objectives, but instead moving toward them effortlessly and receptiveness, liberated from dread or urgency. A popular Tibetan saying shows this: the more tight you clutch sand, the quicker it gets past you. Rehearsing susaraq permits you to hold your cravings tenderly, guaranteeing that they manifest normally without force. One more indispensable part of susaraq is appreciation. Tibetan lessons stress the significance of recognizing the overflow currently present in your life. Appreciation moves your concentration from shortage to overflow, making a positive outlook that draws in much more open doors. By staying cool and grateful, you construct a strong starting point for feasible achievement. Straightforward practices like keeping an appreciation diary or quietly expressing gratitude toward the universe during reflection can reinforce this propensity, knowing when to act and when to stay still. Susaraq doesn't advocate inactivity, but instead supports deliberate, all-around coordinated activities. Similar as the bowman who stops to point prior to delivering the bolt, susaraq guides you to act just when you are clear and centered, guaranteeing most extreme contact with least exertion. This standard can be applied in day-to-day existence. Prior to simply deciding, stop and reflect peacefully. While confronting obstructions, return a stage to reevaluate as opposed to carrying on of disappointment. During progress, remain grounded and modest, understanding that life's stream is always showing signs of change. In Tibetan way of thinking, genuine progress isn't estimated by riches or influence, yet by internal harmony and concordance. Susaraq instructs that when you develop this quiet assurance, achievement turns into a characteristic result of your condition. You never again pursue objectives. All things being equal, you draw in them easily by transmitting lucidity, reason, and quietness. Here is a short activity to interface with susaraq. 1. Sit in a peaceful spot, shut your eyes, and take a couple of full breaths. 2. Visualize a quiet lake, entirely still and mirroring the sky above. Envision this lake addresses your brain, clear, undisturbed, and loaded with potential. 3. Bring to mind an objective or want. Without constraining or judging, let it float like a leaf on the lake's surface. Believe that the flows of life will convey it where it needs to go. 4. End with a quiet certification. I'm quiet, engaged, and lined up with the progression of life. Susaraq is in excess of an idea. A lifestyle changes how you approach difficulties, valuable open doors, and connections. By dominating this quiet condition of assurance, You accomplish your objectives as well as find a more profound association with yourself and your general surroundings. Tibetan way of thinking advises us that the excursion to progress starts inside, and when you walk the way of susaraq, you line up with the immortal insight of the universe. Might you want to investigate how to apply susaraq to a particular aspect of your life? Tibetan way of thinking instructs that all that in life is continually advancing. Your process is important for this regular stream, and it's vital for belief that every second, each experience is adding to your development. There is compelling reason need to rush the interaction. Believe that the universe is adjusting everything for your most elevated great. Embrace change. Comprehend that development requires change. At the point when you step into new difficulties or unforeseen circumstances, view them as any open doors for additional extension. Be adaptable. Don't hold inflexibly to a particular result. Permit yourself the opportunity to adjust, as this will keep your energy streaming and your objectives alive in new ways. Remain patient. Like a stream cutting its direction through a scene, your way will unfurl progressively. Persistence is a fundamental ethicalness that fortifies your confidence simultaneously. While your process is an individual one, individuals and conditions around you impact your advancement. Tibetan insight instructs us to be careful concerning who and what we permit into our lives. Pick carefully who you invest time with and where you center your energy. Strong connections. Encircle yourself with individuals who elevate, support, and trust in your excursion. Positive energy is infectious, and the right organization can reinforce your purpose. Limit adverse impacts. Reduce most, if not all, connection with the people who bring antagonism or uncertainty into your space. Their energy can divert you from your objectives. Establish an agreeable climate. Whether at home or at work, guarantee your actual environmental factors move harmony, lucidity, and concentration. An agreeable climate advances internal equilibrium and innovativeness. In Tibetan way of thinking, there is a strong guideline of separation, figuring out how to deliver connections to explicit results. This doesn't mean abandoning your objectives, but instead permitting the cycle to unfurl normally without attempting to compel it. Discharge control. Perceive that you have some control over your activities and choices, yet the timing and results are outside of your reach. Give up to the progression of life. Trust in divine timing. Trust that everything is occurring precisely as it ought to, regardless of whether it looked the manner in which you anticipated. Life's timing is in many cases great, regardless of whether it matches our arrangements. Relinquish dread. Apprehension about disappointment or anxiety toward progress can prevent your development. Relinquish these apprehensions and embrace the current second with certainty. Appreciation is a focal practice in Tibetan Buddhism, and it has gigantic power in changing your life. By developing a disposition of appreciation, you shift your concentration from what you need to what you as of now have, making a vigorous arrangement with overflow. Practice day-to-day appreciation. Consistently record somewhere around 3 things you're thankful for. This basic practice moves your attitude toward energy. Appreciation for difficulties. Figure out how to be thankful for the snags you face, as they offer priceless illustrations that shape your development. Offer in return. Show appreciation by helping other people in their excursion. The more you give, the more you get. Appreciation lifts your energy as well as draws in additional open doors and gifts into your life. Contemplation is one of the most integral assets for associating with your internal identity and lining up with your objectives. Tibetan priests have long utilized contemplation to take advantage of profound insight, clearness, and harmony. A training assists you with focusing yourself, center, and hone your instinct. Begin little. On the off chance that you're new to contemplation, start with only 5 minutes every day. Center around your breath and permit considerations to go back and forth without connection. Utilize directed contemplation. There are numerous assets accessible to direct you on your excursion, whether for unwinding, appearance, or associating with your higher self. Think deeply about your objectives. Envision your arrangements unfurling while you reflect. feeling the feelings of achievement and appreciation. This helps manifest your cravings into the real world. Consistency is vital to long-haul achievement. Laying out an everyday schedule that upholds your objectives permits you to remain focused and push ahead without overpower. Tibetan lessons underline the significance of equilibrium in each part of life, and a routine can give that construction. Wake-up routine. Begin your day with exercises that set the vibe for progress. For example, reflection, objective setting, or surveying your composed plans. Center around needs. Recognize the main assignments that will draw you nearer to your objectives and commit time to them every day. End with reflection. Before bed, audit your day and express gratefulness for the headway you made, but little. A very much created routine guarantees that you stay grounded, centered, and reliably pushing toward your vision. As you progress on your excursion, start to encapsulate your objectives and dreams. Tibetan way of thinking trains us to experience our reality and adjust our activities to our goals. Your certainty develops when you step completely into the individual who has proactively accomplished their fantasies. Go about as though. Start to make moves that mirror the individual you are becoming. Whether it's dressing the part, talking with certainty, or settling on choices that line up with your objectives, exemplify your future self at this point. Remain consistent with your vision. Regardless of how far you've come, remain focused on your fantasies and stay sure about your way. Trust your instinct. Your internal insight is continuously directing you. Trust it and permit it to lead you toward choices that vibe lined up with your motivation. The way to accomplishing your objectives is certainly not a straight line. It's an excursion of development, learning, and self-disclosure. By following the standards of Tibetan way of thinking, composing your arrangements, putting stock in them, and acting with reason and calm certainty, you conform to the regular progression of life. Believe that the universe is planning in support of yourself. Remain consistent with your way, stay patient, and trust simultaneously. Each little step, each test, and each triumph is essential for the more noteworthy story you are making. Is it true that you are prepared to embrace this travel and watch your life unfurl in unprecedented ways? Compose your arrangements, have confidence in them, and make each stride with trust and reason. The existence you long for is as of now inside your scope. Our videos are not intended to promote Buddhism as a religion. Instead, our aim is to highlight the beauty and wisdom of Tibetan philosophy, sharing its timeless insights in a way that adds a positive and meaningful touch to people's lives. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button for more videos. Until next time.